January 2001. It's a brand new year, and if I remember correctly, absolutely nothing of significance happened in 2001. We'll see, I suppose, as we go through the year. I don't remember anything that was going on with me. I was still working at Frame Art at this point, possibly at the Westlake store. I know that later in the year I was definitely at the Westlake store, but still not exactly sure of when I made that transfer from Strongsville to Westlake. But I was still picture framing. But let's move on to the books that I read in January of 2001. Not a lot of variety here. It's a little tiny bit, but you're going to see some stuff happening. I started off the year, January 2001, with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the script book, Season 1, Volume 2, and this is the scripts for the last 6 episodes of Season 1. Some fun episodes in there, some okay episodes in there. Season 1 wasn't the strongest for Buffy, wasn't the worst, but wasn't the strongest. Excuse me, if you're a fan, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you might enjoy something like this if you're a big fan. I followed that up. Here's one of the things that's different. Warhammer 40,000, First and Only by Dan Abnett. So this is the first book in the Gaunt's Ghosts series. Gaunt was a military leader. The Ghosts were his group, and it's just the story of them, fighting the agents of chaos and everything. I have my ring light on. It doesn't seem to be. There we go. I don't know why the lighting is weird. Anyway, Warhammer 40,000, First and Only, Dan Abnett. I knew Dan Abnett from his comic book work. Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, partners, writing tons of great comic books. And I wanted to check out some of Abnett's prose work, and he wrote a lot of Warhammer stuff. Then we have To Bury the Dead by Craig Spector. This is about a guy named Paul Kelly, who's a fireman, and his daughter is murdered, I believe, and then he wants revenge, kind of a death wish sort of story. And I loved John Skipp and Craig Spector back in the 80s and 90s. They wrote what at the time was my favorite horror novel, The Light at the End. I've reread their work over and over. They split up, and Craig Spector on his own didn't really work for me. I don't know if I ever read any solo Spector stuff after this. I really was digging or have been digging what John Skipp does. I don't know. Craig Spector didn't do it for me. Then we have Clan Novel Setite by Kathleen Ryan. This is part of the Clan Novel series. 13 books set in the world of darkness, Vampire the Masquerade. Each book focusing on a different clan of vampires, but telling an overall story. This one, the main character is Hesha Rahadza. Not sure how you pronounce the name. Part of Clan Setite. They worship Set. And in this series, with the vampires, you have the Camarilla. I've talked about this before. The Camarilla are the formal organization of vampires that uphold the masquerade so that vampires can live amongst humans, keep themselves secret. But then you have the Sabbat, who are just these wild vampires that think humans are just cattle. Screw the masquerade. Eat humans all you want. And they're in this series, they're sort of tearing up the East Coast. And the Camarilla have to deal with that. But in each book, it's focusing on a different character in a different clan and sort of their what's going on with them and how it's going to tie into this overall big story. And there are these objects of power that people are looking for. So there you go. We're going to get more into that, or possibly less, depending on your point of view, shortly. But I followed that up with The Simpsons Forever, edited by Scott M. Gimple. This is the second Simpsons episode guide, and it covers seasons 9 and 10. Maybe it's not the second, unless the first one covered the first 8 all by itself. Anyway, it's a follow-up episode guide. So, tells you what all the episodes are, gives you any guest stars, trivia, interviews, all sorts of stuff. Just that sort of behind the scenes, cool stuff that I like. I really enjoy reading episode guides and getting a peek behind the curtain. Then we have Angel, Hollywood Noir by Jeff Marriott, novel based on the TV show Angel, the spin-off of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And in this one, we're still in the early first season where Doyle, the half-demon, has his visions and is leading Angel of Angel investigations. Angel's a private eye. But in this story, another private eye who was killed back in just decades and decades ago has come back to life to get revenge, solve a murder. This woman was killed way back in the day, and that's what that's what Doyle's vision was about. Angel's trying to figure out what am I supposed to do about a woman that was murdered back in the 30s, I think. But then this dead private eye comes back, and revenge? Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Who knows? Angel, Hollywood Noir, Jeff Marriott. Now here's something completely different. The Gospel According to the Sun by Norman Mailer. And this is essentially, when I looked it up on Amazon, it does say The Gospel According to the Sun, a novel by Norman Mailer. It's essentially the autobiography of Jesus. It's there in the title. This is Jesus' story according to Jesus. And it was pretty interesting. Someone had recommended this to me. I think someone at work. I don't remember who, but it was a very interesting read. So you, as someone who was raised in the church, I know the story of Jesus. So it was interesting to see this fictional account of the story through the eyes of Jesus. Very, very, and it's a fast read. It's like 250 pages. It's really, really interesting. All right. And next up, we have clan novel Ventrue by Gerbod Fleming, or however you say that dude's name. Another one of the clan novels, this time focusing on the Ventrue. And I think the main character in this one is this woman who's an assassin for the clan. And she's assigned to kill somebody or maybe protect somebody. She's assigned to do something, but there's Sabbath assassins that are coming. Crazy stuff. One of my favorite covers. The covers of this entire series are really great. And this is one of my favorites. Then we have Stormfront by Jim Butcher. This is the first of the Dresden Files, where we meet Harry Dresden. He's a wizard in Chicago. It's a world. It's an urban fantasy. It's a world where there's magic and supernatural creatures in the modern world, sort of as we know it. It just happens to have these things, which not everybody knows about, but some people do. Harry Dresden, in this book, is hired by the Chicago police to help them with a case. Magic doesn't always work well with technology. Harry, I believe, drives an old Volkswagen Beetle that sometimes doesn't want to work because of sort of his magical aura. Yeah, it was a fun book. It didn't blow me away, but I didn't hate it. I've read a few of the other books in the series. I've thought about going back and starting from the first one again and trying to read through the entire series because there's tons and tons of books now. Um, but, with so much stuff I already have to read, I don't know if that's going to happen. Now, for the last 4 books, I'm going to lump all this together, and you'll see why. So I'm not going to get to say penultimate, except for right there. So the last 4 books that I read in January of 2001 were clan novel La Sombra by Richard E. Dansky, clan novel Assamite by Gerbod Fleming, clan novel Ravnos by Kathleen Ryan, and clan novel Malkavian by Stuart Wieck, Wieck. No idea how you're actually supposed to pronounce that. So the last 4 books I read were the next 4 clan novel books in the series, and basically, again, it just carries on the overall story of the Camarilla fighting the Sabbat on the East Coast. Each novel is going to focus on a character from its specific clan, and it's all eventually going to tie together. I'll give you a little spoiler. February, the first, let's count, 1, 2, 3, 4, the first 5 books finish out this series. It's 4 novels and an anthology. So there you go. I don't, if you want specifics on these 4 clan novels, La Sombra, Assamite, Ravnos, Malkavian, we can talk about it down in the comments, but I don't need to go into all of this. It's all one big giant story. You get a nice look at each clan specifically. But vampires doing their vampire things, fighting bad vampires, looking for these objects of power. There you go. So that's what I read in January of 2001. An interesting way to start off the year, I think. A lot of vampire stuff. And there's much more vampire stuff coming on. I really, at this point, for whatever reason, jumped into the World of Darkness fiction. Was picking up everything they were putting out, and it's going to be reflected in this list for a little while at least. So there you have it. As usual, did not think of a question. Well, how about this? Do you have any interest? Have you ever read a fictional biography or autobiography of all right, I'm going to use air quotes, a real person? Since I'm not a Christian and don't believe in all the Jesus Christ stuff, that's why I went with the air quotes. But another example, at least from movies, is Weird, the Al Yankovic story, which I just picked up. I haven't watched it yet, but it's not a straight biography of Weird Al Yankovic. It's very, very fictionalized. So then, even if you do believe in Jesus, the Gospel According to the Son is a fictional account. I do think it plays fair with the events in the Bible, but it is still fictionalized. Or another great example, Lamb, the Gospel According to Biff, Jesus' childhood friend, by Christopher Moore. Absolutely hilarious book. Definitely a wild fictional account. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any others. I know I've read some Westerns that were, fictionalized versions of real world people. Is this something that interests you? Is it something you've read? If you have read it or encountered it, what did you think of it? I know it's kind of a weird question. I enjoyed The Gospel According to the Son. I very much enjoy Lamb. It's one of the funniest books I've ever read. I haven't watched Weird yet, so I can't speak to that. But, fictional stories of real people. And we're going with sort of fictional biographies, that type of thing, as opposed to just any story that throws a real person into it. More, this is a fictional version of the story of their life, if that makes sense. Let me know in the comments below. And if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. And if you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronan5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, fuzzy animals, is EricSmith5757. And if you're on Blue Sky, I am @ELSmith. If you're watching this at the time or very close to the time that it goes up on YouTube, I want to wish everyone a Happy New Year, hopefully, because this will be the last reading Remembrances of 2023. So I hope everybody has I hope your life in general is good, improves if it needs to, maintains a nice, good level if you're already there. But there you go. That's it. That's all I've got. So until next time, read more books.